Hello there, this is Dana Arcuri, author, speaker, and wellness advocate, and today's topic is mind-warping prescription drugs. And so for us to really grasp the seriousness of this and to have a better understanding of it, we have to first talk about the word mind-warping. According to the English Oxford Living Dictionary, the definition of mind-warping is something that disturbs or distorts the mind. The Free Dictionary gives more details about it. They say that mind warping is defined as to alter from a normal, proper, or healthy state, a mental or moral twist, aberration, or deviation. So in simple terms, the best way to understand mind warping is to realize it means that you no longer have a sound mind. Next, this is what your doctor may not tell you about prescription drugs and how it can be definitely correlating with a warped mind. Number one, pharmaceutical medications may change your moods. Your moods may suddenly become dark, gloomy, or severely impaired. Your emotions will become flat. You may have no joy in life. The things that you used to love and care about will no longer matter to you. These mind-warping drugs may numb out your brain. You just won't feel anything. You won't have positive emotions. Instead, you might have a whole lot of negativity and pessimism. On a conscious level, you may lose awareness with reality. Next, you may no longer understand right from wrong. There's a lot of legal things that go on. When we watch the news, there's a lot of homicides, suicides, criminal behaviors and activities, and it is linked to pharmaceutical mind-warping drugs. Your morals, beliefs, and things that you used to value, people, places, things, family, friends, your job, your life purpose may deteriorate. You may experience unclear thinking, foggy thinking, memory loss, forgetfulness, rage, hostility, aggression, irritability, and restlessness. Your moods and behaviors may become impulsive, explosive, and violent. You may become suicidal, homicidal, or both. Yeah, that's what happens with mind-warping drugs. And this is extremely important. Countless prescription drugs have a black box warning. How many times have we been prescribed a medication and we were never informed, never told that our drugs are possibly mind-warping and that there's a black box warning? So people say, well, what does that mean? What does it mean to have a black box warning? Okay, so this is just the short of it. It can potentially cause the similar and destructive symptoms that I just listed up above. So everything to do with your moods, your personality, your behaviors, your restlessness, hostility, aggression, violence, just downright rage, criminal activity. You might end up with your first time in jail. You might get yourself a speeding ticket, maybe get in trouble for a little theft. There's a lot of impulsivity when it comes to mind-warping medications. And we have to understand that when there's a life-threatening situation with black box warnings, the most life-threatening is the potential of suicide. Because this is National Suicide Prevention Week, we have to touch base on this because every day people are losing their loved ones and people are losing their own lives due to mind-warping pharmaceuticals. We have to understand that the black box warning goes hand in hand with suicide and the potential for long-term damage, including brain damage. Also, we have to understand that when someone is taking mind-warping drugs, their brain is taken hostage. They are no longer their same self. They're no longer the same person they used to be prior to taking these medications. Okay, so they're definitely internally different. It's not just their personality and their behaviors and emotions and moods, but there's a change that has occurred in their central nervous system and their neurotransmitters. This is extremely important. You have to understand that it's not like someone chooses to lose their mind from medication. No, it's more a situation where it happens sometimes without them even knowing, sometimes without them even being aware. There's a lot of losing awareness, losing reality when you are prescribed these potent prescriptions that are very toxic and powerful. And, think of it like this. There's that analogy of the frog that's placed in the cool water, and then it's on the stove, and then you turn up the heat and it starts getting hot, but the frog's not aware of it because it's very gradual, it's very slow. And then at some point the water's boiling, it's too late, the frog dies. Same analogy. Think of it like this. Obviously if your doctor would hand you like 6 or 7 potent prescriptions, you might think otherwise than to fill them and take them together. Next, you have to understand, just like the frog that was placed into the cool water, it may start out where you're just prescribed 1 medication, maybe 2. But then what happens is, just like the frog, that the heat gets turned up and the fire is going and slowly it comes to a simmer. Same thing. So you might end up with a couple more medications. Before you know it, you're taking a cocktail of chemicals that are really doing some heavy-duty damage to your central nervous system, your neurotransmitters, and spinning your life out of control, in which you're slammed with some heavy-duty negative emotions, moods, behaviors. There could be pain involved. There could be abdominal distress. There could be a lot of impaired brain function. Same thing, as far as the analogy with the frog. It's just now the heat is turned up. Suddenly that one drug was turned into 2, turned into 3, turned into a dozen drugs, and now it is mind-warping cocktail of chemicals. So try to really consider that less is best when it comes to all prescription medicine. This is very interesting. According to Medical News Today, prescription drugs are linked to most fatal overdoses. Researchers from the Centers of Disease Control reported to the Journal of the American Medical Association found that not only has opioid painkillers led to a widespread crisis with fatalities and drug overdoses, some could be unintentional, but they found that in 30.1% of the deaths, patients had also been taking benzodiazepines. For those who are not aware, I went through hell and back 7.5 years ago from Ativan, which happens to be one particular benzodiazepine, also known as lorazepam. Benzodiazepines are popular psychiatric prescription medications, but they're also muscle relaxers. People may have insomnia, they're prescribed a benzo. Someone might have pain, back problems, fibromyalgia, autoimmune conditions, and so forth. They may be prescribed a particular benzodiazepine. But let's keep in mind there's a wide variety of benzos. Here's just a few. They're known as Ativan, which is lorazepam, Klonopin, which is, let me try to pronounce it, clonazepam, Xanax, Valium, and it goes on and on. There's so many different benzos out there. Build awareness, educate yourself. These medications are highly addictive in a very, very short amount of time. If someone was only taking it for one brief week at the lowest dose, there may not be this intense change to your central nervous system, your neurotransmitters, and your brain as a whole. But what can happen is after one short week, 7 short days of being prescribed a benzo, you may get addicted and not even know it. Yes, that's what happened to me. Of course, my doctor didn't tell me about this. I had to find out after 9 months of my life spinning out of control and hitting rock bottom. It was a live and learn experience, and it definitely gave me something to think about as far as healing, health, and hope, and going the natural route. All right, this is interesting. Dr. Leonard Paluzzi, who works at the CDC in Atlanta, Georgia, wrote, this is what he said, quote unquote, "This analysis confirms the predominant role opioid analgesics play in pharmaceutical overdose deaths, either alone or in combination with other drugs. It also, however, highlights the frequent involvement of drugs typically prescribed for mental health conditions such as benzodiazepine, antidepressants, and antipsychotics that lead to an overdose and death. The National Center for Health Statistics data revealed that the number of people dying from drug overdoses progressively rose from an 11-year period through the end of 2010, with prescription opioid painkillers being the main drive behind the increase, and coming up number 2 is benzodiazepines. Mind-warping medicine is not limited to psych drugs. Oh no, people. There are countless prescriptions including birth control pills, antibiotics, drugs for high blood pressure, statins for cholesterol, and so much more that are mind-warping pharmaceuticals. This is not just a mental health issue, this is a worldwide concern. Always do your research to understand the pros and cons of every medication. Read the pharmaceutical literature. Don't just ask your doctor about it, because half the time we know more than they do. Instead, let your fingers do the walking. Do a lot of research, a lot of reading, a lot of asking questions, and really becoming your own health advocate. No one knows you better than you. And if you start noticing changes in your personality, behavior, attitude, you just aren't feeling well, you're feeling possibly suicidal, depressed, high anxiety, and so forth, you may want to consider gently tapering that mind-warping drug. Of course, never go cold turkey. And next, the crippling side effects and long-term mind-warping symptoms of pharmaceuticals are just not worth risking, in my opinion. So as we complete this week of National Suicide Prevention Week, we really need to continue asking ourselves, do I really need this medication? Is there more harm done? Is there more good or more negative that is happening? Start looking at all of your symptoms. Do not minimize, do not ignore those horrible symptoms and side effects, severe reactions, and potential side effects that are screaming for your concern. And again, we have to realize that suicide in our nation is becoming an epidemic because drugs are an epidemic. We really need to rethink healing, rethink our health, our internal well-being, and different ways we can transform ourselves with a higher quality of life by going a more gentle way as far as treating our pain, our moods, and improving our emotional wellness. Feel free to tell me about your own drugs. Tell me what happened. Did you ever take mind-warping drugs? Did it turn your life upside down? Did you go through wicked withdrawals or even consider suicide? If so, feel free to respond, share, like, subscribe, and go to danaarcuri.com. Thank you.